Thank you so much. In the brief time that I have with you, is there anybody in this room who, if I could show you how you could live a happier, more fulfilled, more energetic, more vibrant, more luminous life, is there anyone in this room who would want to know that before I leave? Awesome. So what I'm going to share with you is the magic potion of that. And I'm going to do that by sharing the last couple of weeks that I've lived. And I'll start with last Saturday when I convened a bunch of highly intelligent, smart, academic people, systems thinkers, because my new project is the Hunger Solutions Lab. Why do we need a Hunger Solutions Lab? Because today in this country, 10 million Australians need food relief at any given time. It's unconscionable. So my thought is, if we've created hunger, when I started OzHarvest 20 years ago, there was very little data, but we knew that 3 million Australians were hungry. 20 years later, that number is 10 million Australians. That's 1 in 3 of us at any given time might skip a meal. I did an event and was a guest at an event, a speaker in Adelaide, and at about 11 at night, the waiter that was cleaning the table came up to me and said, "Thank you." She'd heard me speak. And I said, "And how are you doing?" And she said, "Well, to tell you the truth, at breakfast, when my kids say to me and my husband, who has a full-time job, that we're not eating right now, we'll eat later, when they ask us why we're not having breakfast with them. But we don't. Food is the first thing that people skip when the cost of living is so hard. So that was last Saturday. By Monday, I had decided to convene and assemble 18 of Australia's top chefs. That was this last Monday night. Full day at work, but by night, I invited Neil Perry, Matt Moran, a whole bunch of top chefs, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the lack of social cohesion in our country right now is beyond words. And yet we eat everybody's food. We love their culture. But we are disrespectful of culture right now. And I figured if I could bring together a bunch of chefs and create Chefs for Community. We played with the name Chefs for Peace, Chefs for Harmony. I think we've landed on Chefs for Community so that chefs can use their voice about respect and dignity and care, because chefs have a voice right now. And then on Tuesday, I had back-to-back meetings with stakeholders, and in which I had to share with them a little bit about what we do, that right now, every week, OzHarvest delivers the equivalent of 580,000 meals a week, that we've rescued over 15,565,521 kilos of food this year, that good food that would otherwise have gone to landfill, and that 15,561,521 kilos of carbon emissions have been saved from going into the atmosphere because of that food that's gone to waste. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, I was at sunrise, first thing in the morning. I then had a few more stakeholder meetings. Thursday, I had full-on day, but at 6:15, Senator Dean Smith called me to tell me that Peter Dutton asked him to call me to say that in the budget reply that he would do at 7:30, he's allocated $50 million for food relief. How did I feel about that? I said, well, it's a great beginning, but it's not enough. And then there was Friday, and then there was this morning that I left Sydney to come to talk to all of you. Now, I know that you heard a lot of I did, and And my intention through sharing those last few days was not to sound like a wanker. And for those of you that don't know what a wanker is who are listening, it is a show-off. That is not the reason that I told you that. The reason that I told you that is because I have the magic potion that I want all of you to leave with. And that magic potion is the notion of service, of giving. And I have spent 20 years thinking, when anyone says to me, where's your energy from and where's your vibrancy from and how come you're still so passionate after 20 years? And I said my parents were great role models, and they were. But in fact, the truth is there is now science behind the notion that giving creates health, longevity, well-being, joy. There is even a term that the great Dr. Stephen Post, who I happened to do a podcast with, I forgot about that one. That was first thing in the morning on one of the days this week. The science shows that the more you give, the more you serve, the more you do for your community, the longer you will live, the happier you will be, the more passionate you will live your joyful life. So I promised you that you would have those tools. So I've got 6 of them. And just to make sure that I don't forget and make sure that I do it right. Number 1 rule of giving is one-on-one. None of you need to start a charity. None of you need to do what I've done. I am absolutely an ordinary human who discovered giving, and each and every one of you can do that. So one-on-one means start with the people you know. Start with the people you just around you, just in a direct and present way. Start by giving. At Oz Harvest, we say giving, we need 3 things. We need time, we need skills, we need money. Each and every one of us has got the ability to touch, to smile, to give in some way. So that's number 1, one-on-one. Number 2, give according to need rather than what you think is necessary. Little story. I was walking down King Street in Newtown, Sydney, sitting on the side of the street. A gentleman who was the epitome of the stereotype of a homeless person. Bedraggled hair, black nails, not so clean, sitting on a very torn mat on the sidewalk. And I went up to him and I said, could I buy you some food? And he said, yes, I want a white bread sandwich with cheese and tomato, and I don't want it from Queensland. I'm in Sydney on King Street. And I want a strawberry milk. I said, no problem. It might take a little bit of time, but please let me go and find that for you. There was an Aldi not far. I walk into the Aldi. I see the strawberry milk. I buy it. They have packaged sandwiches. I see a white bread, cheese and tomato sandwich wrapped up in plastic. I pick it up. Just out of curiosity, I turn it over. And it says, made in Queensland. So I think, okay, he told me he doesn't want it. So I went on walking. I walked 2 blocks down, 2 blocks to the right. I could not find a deli that would make a white bread sandwich with cheese and tomato. So I went back to the Aldi thinking, okay, well, I'll just offer it to him. I arrived. I said, here's your strawberry milk. It was a tough gig to try and find you a white bread, cheese and tomato sandwich. And I understand you said not made in Queensland, but it's the only one I could find. Would you like it, despite the fact that you told me no? He said, no. I told you no. I said, you know what? No problem. Now I want to share with you how many people have said to me, how ungrateful of that person. It wasn't ungrateful. I asked him. He told me. Dignity and respect is about listening and understanding. As it happens, I walked another 4 blocks and there was a hungry fella. I said, would you like a white bread and cheese and tomato sandwich? And he said, thank you very much. The point is, we need to give what people need, not what we think they need. Number 3, give consistently. Whilst Christmas is wonderful and a one-off is fantastic, we need to give consistently. 365 days in a year. It doesn't take much, but I can tell you again, the rewards are remarkable. Number 4, give without an expectation of reward. The giving is for you. Now, it's pretty obvious. I just have to look at what we do. This year we will deliver 30 million meals. Our education programs are extraordinary. We're in more than 2,000 schools, creating little eco-warriors and climate activists. We're teaching vulnerable people how to cook, how to live a sustainable life, how to buy food on a budget. But I can tell you that the joy that I get and the culture that Oz Harvest has created and the energy is because we all recognize that we are in the business of service through choice, through joy, and through luck. Number 5, giving opportunities are all around you, and you will never run out of an opportunity to give. But number 6 is probably the most important, because I promise you that each and every one of you has an unlimited abundance of generosity inside of you, and you will never, ever run out of generosity. That is why, 21 years after Oz Harvest, I have not worked a day in the last 21 years. Every single day of mine has been my privilege and my joy. I'm going to end with a little quote, and it's just really relevant for us today. I heard it. It's by an author who has had Amos Oz. He's had about his books translated into 46 languages, and the quote goes like this. In the event of a huge conflagration, like a bushfire, we as humans have got 3 principal ways that we can behave. Number 1, we can look at that fire and we can run away as fast as we can and leave those that cannot run to burn. It is an option. Number 2, we can write an angry letter to the newspaper demanding that the perpetrators get punished. Or number 3, we can run and find a bucket. And if you cannot find a bucket, run and find a jug. And if you cannot find a jug, run and find a teaspoon. And I know that a teaspoon is tiny and that fire is huge, but there are millions of us. And if every single one of us uses our teaspoon, we can put out that fire. So I invite you all to become part of the Order of the Teaspoon, where you wear a teaspoon. This hand is holding, so I can't do this. This is a magnet where you wear your teaspoon on your shoulder. I wear 2 teaspoons around my neck. That is a teaspoon. And this teaspoon is to remind you of the random acts of kindness that each and every one of us can do every single day. So would you all please do this? All of you. Thank you. Please look down into your hand, because in your hand is your metaphorical teaspoon. Can you take that teaspoon? Can you put it to your heart? And can you commit to being part of the Order of the Teaspoon, where every day you find a way to do random acts of kindness? Thank you.